to react to the English FA giving approval to a foreign manager coming in. So let's go to those reports. So yeah, the English FA, they've made a huge decision in approving that a foreign manager can come in, which completely changes sort of the coaching search for them, changes the way how we're gonna perceive this coaching take now, coaching decision. Because number one, it's kind of if they go with the English manager, it's kind of huge the sort of criticism throughout this. Number one, they've came out and said this, if they signed an English manager after this, someone like a Lee Carley that's already involved in the setup, or a Graham Potter, a little bit more so with Eddie Howe, because I believe Eddie Howe is a guy that a lot of people will have confidence in. But if they went with another English manager, and despite them coming out with this sort of statements, the criticism is going to be huge. You decided to go with this guy when you had this guy available, when you could have got Tuchel, Pochettino, yada yada, all these sort of foreign managers. You were okay with making that change, but you decided to go with him. The criticism is going to start even before he's managed his first game, and then when he manages his game, it's gonna get when he's coaches, and one or two things go wrong, it's gonna come worse and worse and worse and worse. So I don't really understand coming out with this publicly, unless you really think, okay, foreign manager is probably the way that they're what we believe is best. Because I really believe the English FA believe, okay, they're going to go with the foreign manager if they're coming out with this sort of statement. And also, I believe they're coming out with this sort of, with this rhetoric to kind of gauge, what the fans think, what the media might think about this sort of route for them. So right now, the English FA, they're currently searching for a manager after Gareth Southgate. He resigned after the England were defeated by Spain in the final of the European Championship, this upcoming European Championship. Southgate, his contract is supposed to run till the end of the year, but since he resigned early, the FA board is looking right now to find the replacement. Eddie Howe, he's been one of the favorites to Graham Potter. We've talked about Lee Carley. A lot of people talked about Jurgen Klopp, but let's be for real, there was no real chance of that happening. He came out himself and said, no, I'm retired. With Klopp, so you have Tuchel, Pochettino. Those are the main real foreign guys that people were talking about, but beforehand, but they didn't really get a huge sort of talk about them, because we didn't believe, not many people really thought that the English FA want to go the foreign route because of the way that they've developed St. George's in terms of the players coming up, in terms of developing not just players, but developing coaching talent, coaching youth. Gareth Southgate, he started off as St. George's. Actually, he actually came in originally as head of youth talent initiative or something of that sort of title. He graduated into some of the youth teams and eventually got himself up to the national team. And they value developing coaches, so they don't want to undermine all this work that they've done in terms of what they've done at St. George's and just go, oh nah, we're gonna ignore this, and we're not going to get someone involved with the FA. We're going to go with the foreign manager. But that seems like that's what they're going to do, and I think it's probably the correct decision. I don't think you need to fit some sort of narrative that you're trying to continue to push, or some sort of agenda that you have. I believe, this set of players, the set of talent you have, you want to maximize them and bring in the best manager. And I think the best manager is a foreign manager at this point. I mean, Eddie Howe, that could be actually really, really good. And I think he'll be up there with the foreign managers like a Tuchel and a Pochettino. But by the way, England, they've had foreign managers. In the history, it's been very rare. It's been essentially against their tradition. But in terms of recent history, going back to about the 2002, the last out of the last. Okay, well, actually, so let's go with the previous. So there's been Southgate. I'm not including these interim managers like I believe Allardyce or whatever. I'm not gonna include those. I'm talking about the main ones. So there's been Southgate, Roy Hodgson, and then Capello. I believe before Capello, there was a manager that was there involved in 1 year. He was the manager. He's the manager for Jamaica now. He just got announced as the manager of Jamaica like a few days ago. So I forgot his name, but there's that. And then I think it was Sven-Goran Eriksson. So from the last five mainstream sort of managers, two of them have been foreign. So they've not been, reluctant in terms of recent history. In terms of greater recent history, obviously 2002 is not recent, but in terms of how long the FA has been around, 2002 is fairly recent. So, Sven-Goran Eriksson, he reached the quarterfinals. Fabio Capello, he reached around the 16. There was a lot of, negative media attention around the team with Capello, though. But, what's been talked about the board's discussion and that's really affected them is the way Sarina Wiegman, the Dutch coach, has been able to be successful in England, being able to lead them to the 2022 European Championship. And she's been used as an example of some of the positives that can be for hiring a foreign coach. So I do believe getting the best coach is necessary. Whether you believe it's England or foreign, just get the best coach. And I think Pochettino, he's a good option. He hasn't really been able to translate that in terms of trophies in the club scene, but he'll handle the press really, really well. He's a professional. He's a top tactician. He has a great knowledge of football. He's a really excellent coach. And you think, okay, this is a tournament style. This is an international game. Maybe that different element to him we could see, a different Pochettino in terms of a more ruthless one, this is a manager that can win trophies at this sort of level, a change in the way that we perceive him in terms of winning that game. But I believe in terms of the football, the tactics and all that, really, really good manager. Tuchel, that's also an interesting one. And this is a Tuchel that's had success in tournaments, which is very, very important because most of your major games that you're going to coach as an international manager, they're all in tournaments. They're the World Cups. They're the European Championships. And Thomas Tuchel, he's won a Champions League with Chelsea. He's reached another final with Manchester United, I'm not Manchester United, with PSG. He's been in 2 Champions League finals. He's won one. In these tournaments, he's not afraid to make that sort of ruthless decision, to leave this guy out, to change it up, to adjust in-game tactically, to be ruthless. He has that nature to him. He has that sort of persona to be, actually, no, he does not have the persona to be an English manager because English managers, they've preferred that yes man sort of manager. Yes man, like Gareth Southgate a bit. But I think what he is in terms of the personality he brings, he can get these England players in a different mentality too. I think he'll love the players of this England team. He's worked with Harry Kane. I think he would love the ability of this team. I think he'd be willing to take this job, and the fact that he talks about how the treatment of him in England is just much better. The fans are better in England than Germany and all that. I really, 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 really believe this could be a perfect fit. He's a good tactician. He's a ruthless manager. I think his personality is what England need. England managers in the past, they've been sort of lifeless. They've been boring. This is not boring. This is a manager that's gonna come in. He's gonna be entertainment. He's not gonna be afraid to be real with the press. I think he's literally the perfect thing. And I think England, they keep going with the same approach, getting these sort of managers that are just here to keep everything, safe, to keep everything in the bubble, to not have negative relations with the media, to be just the proper behaving on the sideline, on the pitch line, all that. That same sort of style. But those sort of managers have never been able to get you over the top. They've never been a good enough pure manager. So I think Tuchel will be an excellent option. But there's multiple, foreign managers, and honestly, you look at past managers that have won these major trophies, Spain with Luis de la Fuente. It's a guy that came up the youth rank. Yes, he plays positive football, but every Spanish coach is gonna come in and play the same sort of football. It's their behavior, it's their nature, it's their fundamentals. Um, yeah, I'm interested. It's gonna be an interesting race, and I think it's a decision that, based on these comments, could really get criticized if they don't go the foreign manager route. Unless, I believe, if they get Eddie Howe, I think Eddie Howe is a sort of, he's a good enough tactician that I think fans will really get behind it. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't, because if Eddie Howe was gonna leave for the English managerial job, it would have happened by now. There's no way he's gonna leave this late to this into the summer or throughout the season. He's not gonna do that. If he was really, if England were realistically set to hire him, they would have offered him the job straight after the Euros or really soon after the Euros, and just because